it's kind of a nice way to give back to the heritage that belongs to everybody here. And if you're in Arizona for 7 months of the year, you can be an Arizona Sites Tour. Now, if you're not, then when you get home, I recommend you look into your state programs and see if there isn't a similar volunteer program there. But great way to get out and give back and help protect the heritage here. So this is one of my sites. The other couple of sites I monitor are way down in the little town of Maricopa. So I don't do both of them at the same day. Most of the petroglyphs, you see this very geometrical symbol? Okay. Deer or bighorn sheep or antelope in front of that, and actually on further all the way to the very front of the rock outcropping. This, they think, is talking about the hunting life of the early Native American people here. Because before the archaic people, it was just basically hunting. They didn't do anything with crops or plants or anything. Then as things begin to change, they became an agricultural society. Holcomb, again, known for their irrigation system. And so from that geometrical symbol, which we actually think is a depiction of the Mesoamerican rain god, back, cloud symbols, rainbows, all the symbols you're going to need to keep your crops going. So archaeologists believe this canyon actually documents the change from hunting to agricultural system basically here in the valley. So important for that reason. But again, as I mentioned, so I hate to guess how many people have been here and have touched all the rocks and everything, so probably any further examination to try to get an accurate date for these probably is gone. And again, that's the biggest hurdle in interpretation. Until you get a good chronology established, it's hard to make good interpretations. And all archaeologists, all anthropologists have that problem. You remember the guy that was working with the remains of Lucy in Africa? Leakey, Dr. Leakey? He had the same problem of establishing that chronology with the remains of Lucy. And he wrote a paper about it. So the problems of dating an older woman. Maybe you read that one. Okay. Anyway.
Heck of a lot less than a younger woman.
And then here are the rainbow figures down here on this bottom rock. They have the rainbow over the head. The bridge between heaven and earth basically is what they're thinking about. There's actually like a textile pattern down towards the very bottom. And it's almost looks like the Greek key symbol that you see. So look, think about this. Here are these people continents apart, still coming up with almost exactly the same design and everything. So, our native people will say we were actually all more closely connected than we really understand or really believe nowadays. Also, you can see that little circle over here with the little squiggly tail. Okay, and actually it's a depiction of a tadpole. And if you weren't here when I told everybody, the tadpoles here are our state amphibian, which is the canyon tree frog. Okay. And so that's a fertility symbol amongst native people, because without water, you're not going to have a very fertile clan or family or anything. So here, I've never been here when there hasn't been water in this big tank down here. Right? This one dries up a lot. There's another big tank further up. There's a spring about 200 meters further up the canyon. But again, I've only seen it run maybe once or twice in the years that I've been coming up here, because we've lowered our groundwater so far in the valley here that often doesn't run until we get a really wet year. But this would have been a semi-permanent water source in those days. So they could count on game animals being here, and so they would come here to hunt and do ceremonies. Some of these probably also were kind of ceremonious in nature. But it's kind of interesting. Your topographic maps? That's the symbol you see when they want to mark a spring or a sea. On a topographic map, it's a little circle with a little squiggly tail behind it. So, again, here's this idea, human mind, it's very common to think about the same things all the time. Around the corner, if you get a chance to walk up, you'll see that mountain lion figure, and it's a big four-legged animal, but the tail curls over the back, and that's always a hallmark of mountain lion symbols. And I've never seen a mountain lion here. I can see it from right here, but I have heard that other people have seen mountain lions here. Okay, but just remember what Ogden Nash said. What do you do when you're out in the wild and hear the call of the panther? Don't answer. That's Ogden Nash, that's not me. So anyway. So nice petroglyphs. These guys over here on this rock boulder too also show one of the ways we kind of date petroglyphs. You see the deer symbol and there's a bighorn sheep right like he's butting heads with them. The bighorn sheep is a lot darker than the deer figure. So after you know the technique is called pecking. Take a rock and it's like a bird pecking at the ground. Remove that dark coloring from the rock. The lighter color shows through, and bam, you got a petroglyph. So as they did that, the coloring starts to occur again on the rock.
Balancing rock up
so
there,
the
Rick.
older the design is, usually,
Rick, look at the very top.
The older it is, the darker it is. The more that color is reoccurred on it. But that's just kind of a relative.
Right here. 2 feet from me. Oh.
So they have the tribes here, are they the same foliage or?
Sure. Well, okay. Bhutan, isn't here.
Yeah.
Most of the southwest coast is in about 30.
Boy, these are
Where they do that. Well, we'll see. And they, again, archaeologists always say they disappeared. And of course, that kind of upsets the native people. What we think happened, things got bad here. Whether it was droughts or floods, we're not really sure. Water event is usually what they say happened. Drought or flood.